Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja. We are back to shift gears and look at the environment in a moment. But before we get to it, let's take a look at a story that has been headlining the last couple of days. Worship at the Good Shepherd Church in Mwingi looked profoundly different Sunday, a week after 16 members of the church choir perished in the River Nziu accident that claimed 32 lives. Our reporter Margaret Kimathi went back to the church and tells us how this community is trying to find healing from the tragedy.
A grieving congregation returned to the Good Shepherd Church in Mwingi to find healing and comfort from a tragedy that scarred them. 16 members of this church community were among the 32 people who perished in a tragic accident at River Nziu. The St. Cecilia Choir, though a few members short and amid breaking hearts, rallied the church to worship.
St. Cecilia has lost some very good members, and actually I would say they were the most active. I don't say the others who are left are not active, but that was like the engine of the choir. Losing the choir master, losing brothers, losing almost the whole of soprano is not an easy thing.
The death of the 16 left a huge void that the church will now struggle to fill.
We still have to look for new members. We still have to train how to sing. Yes, we fill the gap, but we cannot give up.
Chris Musilia, a choir member, survived death narrowly. He's still healing from the events of that tragic Saturday.
I was there. Well, it was really traumatizing seeing your friends perish while you cannot help them, standing outside there and seeing their bodies being dragged out of the bus and out of the water and being laid there. I personally closed their eyes and I watched them the last moment.
Enyewe nilikuwa niende na wao, lakini kwa safari iliyonipata wakaenda na mimi nikaachwa.
Despite the tragedy, the grief and pain have bonded this community together.
In grieving time, we are also getting time to stand. We are not, it shook us in a way, but we are not fallen. We just get shaken, but hatukuanguka, tumesimama imara.
As funeral activities begin today, St. Cecilia choir masters are left with the responsibility of recruiting new choir members so as to fill in the gap that was left by those who perished. Margaret Kimathi, NTV, in the county of Kitui.
Elsewhere, U.S. President Joe Biden tapped billionaire Meg Whitman as ambassador to Kenya, a move that has drawn attention. Now, Whitman is perhaps the best-known diplomat ever nominated for Nairobi, indicating a shift in U.S. foreign policy by the Biden administration. So why did President Biden settle on her? Our senior reporter Leila Mohammed breaks down what's at stake.
A rich and powerful figure in Washington, businessperson cum politician Meg Whitman is coming to Nairobi for an ambassadorial posting if approved by the U.S. Senate. Diplomacy experts say her nomination is not just a reward for her political and financial support for the Biden presidential campaign.
The nominee come from Ivy League University, Princeton and Harvard. So intellectually, she's very sound. Secondly, she comes from some of the largest companies in America, Hewlett-Packard and eBay, which hire thousands of people, in America.
In the White House, the Oval Office.
What does America want out of Africa? America is very much interested in containing China. China has made significant inroad in Africa, and America and the West are very uncomfortable with that.
65-year-old Margaret Cushing Whitman, only the third female U.S. representative to Kenya, will be banking on her business acumen rather than a diplomacy background to succeed in the role.
Part of what informs this decision, and it's very unconventional in Kenyan case, because I think Kenya is used to career diplomats or U.S. diplomats serving in the capacity of ambassadors. And a lot of times, many of them also have an experience either having served as Peace Corps volunteers or as missionaries. Because of her having also links with Republicans as well as Democrats, that Joe Biden might think it's a safe bet.
By the virtue that they have sent a woman, it basically means we believe in women. We are trusting that the women can deliver and deliver the best way that they can. And so therefore, yes, even as then Kenyans, we can be able to do the same.
If approved by the Senate, she will be in the country at a time when President Uhuru Kenyatta will be handing over to the winner of the 2022 presidential election. Her nomination also comes at a time that the Biden administration unveiled a new plan to fight graft globally.
For instance, the US projects in Kenya are threatened by corruption. It means the US is not able to achieve their set goal. And therefore, by bringing Whitman, it's like we are coming with a statement. We are giving a strong statement to Kenya. And the statement we are giving to Kenya is that we are here to fight against.
Well, to our next conversation here on Your World this morning, we are alive at a time climate action is paramount in mitigating the impact of climate change. Now, the green economy has been lauded as a great driver of sustainable development without degrading the environment. So how can leaders support the youth, said to be an integral voice in environmental conservation going forward, into investing in the green economy? We find that out in a moment, starting with these gentlemen in studio with me. I'm joined by Job Wanjohi, who is the head of policy research and advocacy at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Also joined by Samson Toniok, who is the CEO of Netfund. Joining us virtually is Michael Koech, who is the vice chair of KEPSA Environment Sector Board, and Alex Cooney, who is the director at the National Youth Council Advisory Board. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me on this pertinent conversation. And Job, I'll start off with you. The role of leaders in supporting the youth into the green economy sounds like a good compass towards the climate action needed to mitigate the impact of climate change. And I think this was really underscored in the just concluded COP26 UN climate change conference. So from CAM's point of view, what is the value of the green economy?
Thank you so much. You find that green economy is a concept that has been introduced because before we were highly concentrating on economic development so that we can support the world's increasing population. Further, the demography in the world has been increasing for the last 2 or 3 decades. So it was realized that without looking at other human security aspects, like now the environmental security, looking at food security, looking at health security that is also aligned with some of these issues, we could not sustain this world easily. So green economy concept then was coined after that, so that we are able now to have an ecosystem of economic development. At the same time, we are able also to conserve other human security perspectives. You have asked a question about what is the role of the leaders as far as the green economy and the youth are concerned. One is the policy drive. You've realized that leaders are the policymakers in the country or in the world, and without the leaders coming up with conducive policy environment, sustainable policy environment, this then cannot lead us to a greener economy as we're envisaging. So you find that a big role is coming up with the right regulations, coming up with the right policies, coming up with the right acts of parliament, so that they are able to drive the green economy.
And still on manufacturing, the global agenda on greening manufacturing revolves around energy efficiency and the circular economy. What is the value of these two pillars and how do they lend to the green economy?
One thing you look at the circular economy and also the green economy, if I start from the green economy, is a question of not reducing the wastage, ensuring that you have the maximum value of the natural resources that you are exploiting. So you find the circular economy looks at utilization of even the byproducts, ensuring there is no wastage in the production. And the circular economy is pegged on what we call the SDG, or Sustainable Development Goal number 12, on responsible production and consumption. So you'll find that as such, if you are able to utilize as many resources as possible, or out of a unit of a resource, or to utilize maximally, then you realize that that's where now the circular economy comes in. As far as the energy efficiency is concerned, it's a question of ensuring that the unit of production is using as small energy as possible. And if at all you can be able to use to renewable energies rather than to non-renewable energies, then this is again going to conserve our natural resources in the country.
Now, let me bring in Caps on this conversation. And Michael, you sit at the Environment Sector Board as a Vice Chair and also leading the climate pillar. Why is it important to give life to the green economy from where you sit? Michael?
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. So I think one of the key things that the private sector has really been focusing on for the youth is around training and capacity building. You realize that there are a lot of opportunities out there, especially in the field of digital technology that is required to be developed. And the youth have a huge potential in this area. So for me, I look at it in terms of the potential that the youth have to contribute in the private sector. And training is one of those key things. We've had opportunities with different organizations coming up with different programs around incubation of projects around capacity building and also financing. I think those are the three key areas that we would really would like to see more private sector organizations getting into to prepare the youth into the market. For example, if you come to agriculture, not many youth at the moment are involved in agriculture. And one of the key things is to try and make agriculture to be attractive to the youth. And this requires a lot of awareness creation, building business projects that make sense, giving opportunities in terms of funding for inputs, weather information, and also access to the markets for their produce. And I think that's one key area that private sector would really need to focus on.
All right, and Samson, the Net Fund provides a platform for environmental conservationists to access financing in Kenya. How do you lend a hand in the green economy?
Thank you for that. I think Net Fund comes in a big way. Just to set the fact straight is that National Environment Trust Fund is an agency under the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, of course charged with coordinating resource mobilization of the sector and ensuring that we pursue the green pathway. So Net Fund comes in this way because we give #1 awards, we do capacity building, and also provide linkages. So what happens is that to promote the green economy, we identify those champions that are pursuing these pathways and give them grants, give them capacity building, of course, through the technical support and business support, and also provide linkages to potential investors, potential donors, and also market opportunities for their products. So that is how we come in. The other thing that we also do is we have been giving grants to green initiatives by giving them funding to escalate or to scale up their level of activities. The other thing that we do is that we also do campaigns to ensure that we promote a green economy. Thank you.
And when we speak about the youth, how do they benefit from your services?
Thank you. The youth benefit in a number of aspects, as I've said. #1, we have been running an award almost on an annual basis. So we call for applications from all those pillars that we think they're important in pursuing the green economy. So one of them, for instance, is in terms of waste management. I think you have spoke of linear economy or circularity. So we call for applications from these particular people, give them awards, give them capacity buildings in terms of training, link them to potential donors, link them to potential investors who are interested in this kind of investment. I think, and we have a number of examples that, for instance, that have been able to attract international investors by investing in those particular businesses. So those are some of the ways that we provide support to these particular green businesses or green initiatives.
Now, Alex, you are the reason why we're here leading an army of the youth. What role do these youth play in empowering the green economy?
Come again, Gladys. Sorry.
All right, I was saying the reason why we're here is actually you, because you represent an army of the youth. So what role do the youth play in empowering or giving life to the green economy?
Thank you so much, Gladys, for having us on our program. And it's quite exciting to share the platform with such notable and experienced professionals. The population of Kenya right now, the youth are 70%. And when we look at unemployment, which is the biggest threat, actually, the youth are facing in their sustainability, is unemployment. And unemployment from last year's statistics stands at 10%, meaning 4 million youth are unemployed. And it is quite an unfortunate, actually, thing and a threat to the sustainable development that Kenya is seeking to achieve. The youth are really a critical, rather vital resource in this country because of so many things. Number one, the youth are, energetic. They are very resourceful. They are creative. And there's the need, I think, to engage them so that we can achieve the green economy transition.
Okay, and there seems to be a growing need to adopt a green and sustainable manufacturing sector worldwide, something again that really stood out at the COP26 conference. How does that translate to a context job, and how are you engaging the youth on the same?
Ensuring that we have sustainable manufacturing in the country and also bringing youth in the context is a question of, first of all, looking at the vulnerability that comes with the youth in the country. One of it is access to finance, and Samson has talked about it, the question of financing in the country. We have an arm that is facilitating financing for these youths to ensure that they have accessible financing to fund their processes. The other thing also we're looking at is incentives that comes with them, because again, I've talked about the vulnerabilities that comes with the youth at the moment, the lack of collateral security. So you find if the government, again, and you asked about the role of the leaders in promoting the youths, is a question of coming up with realistic, fiscal green incentives. For instance, at the moment we have a task force that is working at the National Treasury that is looking at the green fiscal incentives. Some of them are to promote some of these SMEs that are coming up with the youth, so that if there is corporation tax that is being reduced from 30% to 15% for a period of 5 to 10 years, we're talking about a tax holiday of 5 to 10 years, so that they can be promoted to promote the green fiscal or to promote the green economy. So these are some of the initiatives that are going to help the youths. So as CAM and in manufacturing, we have been propagating for some of those measures to be effected by the national government, so that now the youth can be supported when they get into afforestation, when they get into recycling of the plastic and whatnot.
And when you talk about some of these endeavors that the youth are involved in, what do you get from it? What is it that the manufacturing industry actually reap from the environmental aspect of it?
One of the things I've talked about it is the human security aspect. It is the natural resources that sustains the manufacturing sector. Without a sustainable agriculture sector, without a sustainable mining sector, without a sustainable energy sector, without a sustainable this and that, the manufacturing sector doesn't have a life. So it's a question of looking at how you'll ensure that you have an ecosystem that is quite supporting the manufacturing, by also supporting the auxiliary sectors that come with the manufacturing. So manufacturing by itself, it is not it's not independent. It has to work with other sectors that are around it and promote their sustainability.
Okay, and you've mentioned these, some of the key drivers of our GDP and overall employment are the tourism, agriculture, mining, forestry, and fishing sectors. Michael, these are sectors that are highly sensitive to climate change and variability, making Kenya's economy extremely vulnerable. So how would you enable the youth plug into this green economy and lend in mitigating the same? Michael?
Yeah, thanks, Catherine. Kindly repeat the last part of the question.
How would you enable the youth plug into the green economy and lend in mitigating the impact of climate change on the most crucial sectors of our country, tourism, agriculture, mining, forestry, and the fishing sectors?
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. I think when you look at the problem of climate change, we don't need, now we currently don't need any science, to understand that we are really feeling the impact. And so the youth really have a role to play in terms of building resilience, in terms of building adaptation capacity to ensure that we overcome some of these problems. So if I come to the energy sector, for example, we had in the recently concluded conference on climate change that there is really that shift, from fossil fuel type of energy to renewable energy solutions. And so in this case, what is the role of the youth? I think one is to ensure that they get the training required for that shift. And I'm looking into solar energy solutions, huge opportunity for Africa, for example. We have sunny seasons almost throughout the year. And so there is a huge potential in terms of generation of solar energy. And so the youth needs to be trained on some of these technology, so that even as we prepare to roll out, we have the skills, we have the knowledge of people who can actually be engaged in that. The other one is what you've talked about is on circular economy, and it has been touched in this conversation. So there's a huge problem of waste in our country. There's a problem of non-segregation of waste at source, problem of transport, problem of where to dispose of the waste. And I think one of the key areas that, and so we are looking at green jobs, for example. So one of the key areas could be on the area of circularity, where the youth will get some of the skills around recycling of plastics, recycling of metal, and generally the industry of recycling as a business. The other area is on information. If you look at the problems that farmers are currently facing, for example, on weather, when to plant, when to expect the rains, when to expect drier seasons, we would need that information to get into the farmers. And I think one area where the youth can play is development of some of those solutions that can send information to the right people at the right time. So it's really a wide area, and I think there's a huge opportunity as you prepare the skills, as youth prepare to acquire these skills that are useful as we move forward.
Okay, now at that point, we take a short break here on Your World. When we come back, let's talk more about the gaps in achieving optimal uptake of these opportunities you speak of, and we will hear from Samson. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja, and we're talking about the role of leaders in supporting the youth into the green economy. Still with Job Wanjohi, who is the head of policy research and advocacy at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Samson Toinyok, who is a CEO at NetFund. We are also joined virtually by Michael Koech, who is a vice chair, KEPSA Environment Sector Board, and of course, Alex Cooney, who is a director, National Youth Council Advisory Board. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. Now, Alex, we are calling on leadership here from various sectors to support the youth into the green economy. Michael had touched on some of those opportunities out there for the youth in the green economy. Could you expound on others now that you work closely, especially with the SMEs in this sector?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gladys. We really need, as I had said, unemployment being a major challenge. Youth, it has gotten to a point that youth just need jobs, whether dignified or undignified. And this poses really a big challenge to trying to shift them to take up green jobs, or rather come up with green ideas. So it would really be a good thing if the leaders would really be committed into trying to create more awareness and support. For example, the National Youth Council has the Green in Kenya initiative, and the GRIAP, which is the Green Economy Youth Activation Program, where youth are supported and through incubation programs helped to set up businesses that actually are revenue generating. And it has been faced with so many challenges. Part of it including funding and lack of access to quality seedlings and what have you. So if leaders really could step in and integrate youth employment in and green job priorities into broader national economic development plans and invest in nature-based solutions, would be some of the really supportive investment from the leaders. Another would be promoting youth participation in stakeholder engagements. As I had said earlier, the youth are very adaptive and very creative, and listening to them and to understand their perspective and views would achieve root and branch changes of behavior, and also the nationwide shift to green economy. Another would be incentivizing consumers to consume environmentally sustainable products, which would create a shift in demand towards green products and in turn promote green jobs. Another would also be supporting NYC programs like the incubation through the GRIAP initiative, to support the youth investment in sustainable businesses. Case in example would be, supporting the youth who already have invested in forestry and agroforestry businesses, through creating market for the seedlings and what have you. The other would, I would say, is make green economy a critical, priority, through encouraging platform economy rather than pipeline economy, where we would push out and consume sustainable value.
Now, Job, from where you sit at CAM, how are we enabling the same?
One thing I would say that from CAM we have various initiatives that have been taken to ensure that we're supporting the youth and the green economy. One is at what we call the environmental, social and governance arm. That is Ukamilifu. Ukamilifu means for completeness. And we have various initiatives or pillars that comes under it. One is a sustainable world. The other one is inclusive world. We have a futuristic world and green world. The green world is whereby we are bringing as ensuring that is inclusiveness of the youth and the women. And also in sustainable audits, we're also bringing the young population into the manufacturing and ensuring that they're getting into the green production, ensuring that they're not only getting the traditional production, ensuring that now whatever they are starting, even if it's an SME, it's under the green production. Also, we have the Center for Green Growth and Climate Change that is pegged on Sustainable Development Goal number 13 under the climate action. These, again, we are calling on the youths to ensure that in the manufacturing they are participating actively through green growth initiatives. I had enumerated them in the past. And looking at how, if you're talking of like now the value chain, because manufacturing survives on value chain, from like now from farming to manufacturing, there are various ancillary services that are required in there. If we can have green initiatives at those ancillary services, we're talking of transportation. How can we make it more green? If you're talking, we're talking of telecommunication, how can we make it more green? And these are the initiatives that are coming in between there. Also, we have the Center for Energy Efficiency and Conservation. You talked about talked about the issue of energy, solar production. Talk of the various other energy initiatives that further comes under now the energy efficiency and conservation. Under that, also we have the audits that are carried out. If we can have the youths coming on board with companies that are carrying out audits on water, audits on electricity, and various other inputs that are normally form part of production, there are various job opportunities that come therein.
And now that we are at a time where we're encouraging SMEs, especially among these youth, we've talked about financing being a huge deterrent to many of them taking this up. How are you helping along as COM?
One is we're trying to create linkages with the funders or the donors, even with the banking institutions, ensuring that we have one, sustainable SMEs that are bankable. Secondary, when now we approach these donors or the banking institution, we approach them with SMEs that can be led to. The other thing also we are doing is, like now we have, for the last 2 years, we have been working with the national government, especially in the National Treasury, on credit guarantee scheme, whereby initially there was an allocation of 3 billion. It has not come through yet, but because of regulations and policies and whatnot, but ensuring that some of these initiatives, like now the credit guarantee scheme, is helping the youths because of the issue of talking about the collateral. I talked about of the youth as very, very vulnerable. If they are being dependent on to produce collateral security, they cannot be able to do this and be able to have a sustainable SMEs. So it's a question of linking them up with such a guarantee scheme so that their processes are guaranteed. They get the finances they can be able to pay back slowly going forward.
Now, Samson, when we talk about linking, this is one of the things that also NetFund does in as far as financing and, of course, these markets. So how do you ensure that the youth at least walk in knowing whatever they're investing in at the end of the day, it will have a market?
Thank you. I think one of the ways that we are making sure this is achieved, of course, is through partnerships and collaboration. And I think one of the things that we are doing, especially in terms of the tree planting or increasing our tree cover from around 7.2 to 10%, is providing financial support to youth-led groups, youth-led CBOs, youth-led basically initiatives, just to ensure that they get involved in setting up of nurseries and setting up of nurseries. So we are giving them equipment, we are giving them resources, we are giving them potting tubes and such kind of things. We are also assuring them an offtake of those seedlings by partnering, of course, with the private sector, mainly banks, especially in view of their CSR activities, to ensure that they buy from these particular groups, or to ensure that these youths have market for their tree seedlings. The other things that we are doing is, of course, we are introducing these youth-led groups or innovations to marketplaces or market opportunities, to exhibition. We support them to attend exhibitions, to showcase their products, just to a variety of markets and potential buyers. We also do this by introducing them to potential donors, linking them to opportunities. For instance, if there are grant opportunities that are out there or low loans, So we walk them through the journey by doing the application together and ensuring that they are successful in terms of applying for those applications. The other thing that too we also do is capacity building. I think I said we do capacity building by, of course, improving on their business proposals, improving their products, of course, in terms of the technical, by linking them with the experts to ensure that they have a better product at the end of the day, and they are taking to the market a product that can, of course, attract the necessary market.
Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about attracting the youth into the green jobs. These youth that are interested, how can they reach you? Do we have any sort of awareness that is created so they know where to go if they need the kind of help you just tabulated?
Thank you. They can reach us, of course, through our various channels of communication. We have a Facebook page. We also have a website. And what normally happens is that occasionally we will call for applications, and I mean we will share this in the electronic media, in all forms of media, to ensure that we get as many applications as possible. We are due to run one maybe in the next 2 or 3 months, and I think we'll be conveying this message in the public to ensure that as many youths as possible apply, because I think we have a planet that it is borrowed, actually it's theirs, and they have to take a lead role in ensuring that we have a sustainable world or sustainable development.
Now, Michael, there has been conversations that it is important to de-risk this green jobs we're talking about, or green business opportunities that we are wooing the youth into. What does that mean to you sitting at the KEPSA?
Yeah, thank you, Gladys. I think when you look at the world climate space, there are a lot of risks that are involved. One of them, of course, and I'm happy that in Kenya we are not greatly impacted, especially from shifting to green jobs, because when you look at the drivers of climate for Kenya, we are talking about electricity, we are talking about agriculture, we are talking about deforestation. So we are not greatly impacted by the shift, for example, from fossil fuel to renewable energy, because we are already in that space anyway. So I think for me, in terms of transition, it's about now what I've just said, getting the right skills for the right green jobs in the market. When you come to agriculture, agriculture is the main challenge would be around access to land. It could be around financing opportunities. It could be around building business models, you know, that are sustainable. And so the youth in this case needs a lot of capacity building. We need to build the technical capacity, the technical knowledge for the youth, to prepare them for the jobs that are coming, especially in the technology space. For private sector organizations, I think one of the key things is actually providing those job opportunities, whether it's internship for fresh graduates in their institutions. So if we, and I can give you a few examples of, for example, for Safaricom, we have what we call Women in Technology, and this is one program that gives opportunities to women, young women in the technology space, to get that hands-on experience and so develop them as leaders in the space. Probably that doesn't have as many youth at the moment as is required. We've seen an organization like T3. So T3, it practices circular economy on plastics specifically. So they go into the informal sector players, they purchase plastics from the informal sector, including, you know, the youth who have probably not gone to school. And then they give them that opportunity, they purchase from them, they give them the right protective equipment. And so they've been incorporated into the private sector space. Coming to forestry, as one of the speakers have talked about, we need to provide youth with opportunities to cross seedlings, purchase from them, give them a ready market, give them an assurance, so that as we move into the green economy, into the green economy space, we have private sector playing a key role in terms of providing market, providing the training required, and also giving the finances that is required for startups. One last example I would want to give is the Green Innovation Fund that is currently running up to January next year. So this is a fund that is administered by the GSMA, which is and also supported by the UK government. So it gives finances to youth initiatives that are technology driven, and so it can be a startup, it can be that digital solution that a youth has but hasn't gotten the latitude to upscale. So you only need to make an application, give a justification. It's around adaptation, it is around building resilience on climate within our economy. So I think the key areas could be technical training, building business models that are sustainable, and now financing. And finally, what you've just talked about, giving the market, for the products that are green.
Okay, now, Alex, let me come back to you. Today, we are faced with the reality of drought, floods, locusts. All these have been tied to the impact of climate change, and each and every part of this country is feeling the heat one way or another. How are we trickling down these messaging, or this messaging we have today here, or even the fact that the services we speak of are there for the youth in the different counties?
Thank you so much, Gladys. And before I answer your question, I'd like to really appreciate Michael's answer. It really invokes a lot of thought, and really calls for so much support in the areas of youth support and awareness creation. Now back to your question, I think the trickle down, there's so much commitment really from the local government to even the international organizations and international governments as an outcome of the COP26. There's so much green funding, and if awareness really could be built, and incubation and support for youth-led businesses could be offered, then it really would go a long way. But when we talk of trickle down, we have, we've naturally in Kenya, we have a problem with our leaders really. And we've had, leaders, who do not understand really the need for committing to climate, combating climate change. We've had leaders of talk of, rain not coming from trees, but from the heavens. I don't know, some pushing for coal. And with the general elections coming up, we really need to elect leaders that are enlightened and informed, rational, and even adaptive to help us, achieve all these things, from trickle down to, adapting to, ideas of climate change. If we in retrospect, if we look at what the Jubilee government has done, it's really admirable. It has tried so much, doing the trickle down, from committing to the national level all the way to the county levels, and even the NYC National Youth Council currently has been doing, through their Agree Up program, have been doing tree growing, not tree planting, but tree growing in several counties. And it's even, I don't know whether it's by chance that we have CEOs of different organizations on board here, and I would really like to request if they really could align their corporate social investments to sustainability ideas, and in partnership with NYC, really we would achieve all these trickle down ideas.
Now, Samson, let me take you back to something that you mentioned, that you really work closely with the donor communities, and they play a critical role in realizing and sustaining these opportunities we talk about here. Are these partnerships forthcoming?
Yes, I think these partnerships are forthcoming because number one, there's something that I forgot to mention, that there's a program or a project that we are working on, basically a vehicle to ensure that we mobilize resources both locally and internationally towards tree growing or afforestation efforts, or to increase our afforestation efforts. So we are partnering with the UN agencies, that's FAO, UNEP, UNDP, UNDP, and UNCDF, just to ensure that we set up a vehicle at the MPTF office, that is of course at the UN, to mobilize the resources to go towards these particular initiatives. And I think youths will take a critical center stage. We are the final stages because the program has already been designed, just awaiting final signatories, and hopefully in the next 1 month or so we'll be able to get this on board. And we've already secured funding, seed capital funding, from the institution, the UN agencies that I've mentioned, tuning to a total of around 27.5 million. So this will go a long way in ensuring that youth-led initiatives get opportunities, get financing, and are involved more in issues green economy.
Okay, so even as we bring this pertinent conversation to a close, gentlemen, the pandemic has been a great eye-opener for many sectors in matters of how to conduct business. So what lessons do you draw from, let me start with you, Job, from the pandemic, and how can the green economy come to bridge that gap?
One thing is, I would really say that green economy is still an initiative, and when we are at the starting point, if it is well advocated for, it is well sensitized for, you find that the uptick is likely to be bigger than it is today. Secondly, you have asked about the pandemic. If now we combine the lessons that we have learned from the pandemic, and that now we try to bring them now to the green economy, we are likely to perform better than we have done before. One thing is a question of trying to integrate locally, because we have not integrated our processes local as it should be. 80% of the inputs for production, the intermediate products, are imported. So if we are doing what we call the import substitution at a green initiative, whereby we are doing green farming, we are doing green mining, we are doing green forestation and whatnot, and then integrating with the manufacturing sector, and again integrating with the markets, we'll see the green initiatives are taking more at the uptick for the green economy being better than it is today.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to start off with Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Gladys. I think if there's anything that COVID has taught us is how to adapt quickly to technology. We saw the period during the lockdown, and I mean everyone was at home, and so it really I think one of the key things is the way we work. I think it calls for a lot of agility. Yeah, it calls for a lot of technology, a lot of innovation around the way we work. So it's either changing in processes, coming up with innovative solutions that doesn't require, those physical interactions, and also coming up with different marketing strategies. That so we are talking about online marketing for your products. We are talking about online jobs and sites like. And this is the space for me, from my perspective, where the youth are really strong in terms of the way they will pick it up. So I would encourage technology. I would encourage agility in terms of the way we do things, and also the way we market our products.
Mm-hmm. Samson.
Thank you. I think COVID-19 has taught us really a lot, and I think there are so many changes that are positive, of course, associated with COVID-19. And I think, as Michael has alluded, there is more use of technology and innovation. So at the end of the day, I think we reduce on our carbon emissions, because I think there's less movement from one point to another. Then the other thing that I think that has also come in handy is, of course, rehabilitation of our green spaces or urban spaces in the urban areas, and I think that's important. And I think COVID has taught us that oxygen is really critical, and so we have to direct a lot of investments in green initiatives. So I think that's how I look at it. Thanks.
Okay, and Alex.
No, thank you, Gladys. I think I cannot agree more with the panels. COVID has really put governments in uncharted territories never seen before. But the unfortunate thing is, you see, more than 30%. I'm not sure of my statistics, but more than 30% of the stimulus has been, channeled towards programs that are detrimental to the environment. I think if that can only be, channeled towards green economy, it really would take us a long way. And the unfortunate thing is that leaders fail to address this, and they see it as an inconvenient truth. And I think if we only could channel the stimulus, in a proportionate way, also to support green businesses, then it would really help us recover, and achieve a healthy and more prosperous future.
Gentlemen, thank you for being part of this conversation. Definitely thought-provoking. Alex Kuni, Director, National Youth Council Advisory Board. Also Michael Koech, who was joining us virtually. He's the Vice Chair at the KEPSA Environment Sector Board. In studio, Samson Toniok, who is the CEO, NetFund, and Job Wanjohi, who is the Head of Policy Research and Advocacy at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. Again, gentlemen, thank you. Now, tomorrow, we shift our focus on pediatric dentistry. Now, fact is, a majority of adults today have either never gone to see the dentist or first saw a dentist in their adulthood. As such, they too do not think it's important to introduce their children to a dentist as long as their teeth are fine. Well, as you will find out, there are some dental conditions that can only be caught and reversed in children. So let's meet up tomorrow at a dentist office from 7 a.m.